Hey guys, Ben Oberg from Vulcan Customs. Wanted to talk to you about polishing metal for chrome prep today. A lot of things can happen, and it usually comes down to two things. You can go to a plating company that's just going to take your metal as is and go ahead and dip it. You bring it back home and you see that it has pits, it has barnacles on it from the water not being clean and the tanks that they're dipping it in. You'll have contaminants on it. It's just not going to be highly polished. It's not going to be a show quality finish. You can go to a lot of places and get something done show quality that just shimmers and is as good as it can be. And a lot of it, 90% of what you're paying for, is going to be the prep work. So I want to show you a quick and easy way to do that yourself, be able to save some money. Just spend a little bit extra time doing it yourself. You walk in with the piece, tell them you want it plated, they just go ahead and dip it and you get it back and it's done. So the end result is the same. It's just going to save you a heck of a lot of money, especially if you're doing, a restoration on a car or a boat, a truck, farm equipment that you're restoring, something like that. Anything that's got a lot of chrome, it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run to do it this way. So what I've got here is a pneumatic orbital sander right here. This is random and rotary. It's just a pneumatic sander. It works really good. This is going to be really good for smaller jobs, stuff like that. You can even do a lot of flat surfaces like bumpers. You can do round stock. I do a lot of sissy bars and stuff out of round material, and this works great for that. But really, you're going to start off with 180 grit sanding disc, and these are just stick-ons right here. And you'll go from 180 to 220 to 320, 400, 600, then finish it off with an 800. So what I want you to see, you just have this sample piece of metal right here. This is just a skull right here that I put in a lot of the sissy bars we make and various other projects around here. So you can see it's a little rusted right here. This is just cold rolled 1/8" plate right now, regular steel. And I haven't polished it at all. This is just how it looks getting cut out off the water jet. So we'll start off with 180, go all the way up to 800. You're going to see the end result. You should not see any scratches. It should just be a mirror finish on this. It will already look chromed, even though it's really not. And that's what you have to have it out if you want a high quality, show quality finish. So we'll get started and I'll show you what it looks like. Quick is, like I said, this is a pneumatic sander. It's a 6-inch sanding disc right here, so they just stick right on. One of the things is, if you are going to be doing this quite a bit, these can get spendy. These are Mirka. That's the brand that I use. Mirka. It's they're okay. They're made in Finland. You get like 50 in a pack of 8, so I usually just stock up on them in bulk. If you're going ahead and doing a giant bumper, you might wear through 20 of each type, of each 180, 220, 320, and so on. You might wear through a whole lot of them real quick. The key is to, and you'll see it happen because I'm not perfect at this, nobody is here, but you can tear through these real quick. If it catches an edge, it just shoots out, it's gone. You kind of got to start using another one. So that's the drawback of it. However, when you key in, you get pretty good. Flat surfaces, usually not too much of a problem, and you can be pretty conservative with them. But the other alternative is if you have a polishing lathe, which I'll show in another video later. Polishing lathes are great because they typically don't wear out, especially the older stuff, the World War II era type of stuff. They were just machined really, really good, really precision. They don't vibrate. That's one of the things you want to avoid, is vibration. Having a nice surface to lay it down on. That's why I use this carpet right here. It kind of insulates right here, won't vibrate right on this metal and cause it to get gouges on the other side or anything like that. But when you're running it along here, it's nice and smooth. You can kind of dig down a little bit if you need to. It'll stay in place for the most part. So that's one really good thing, making sure you have it on a nice surface and making sure there's no vibration. So with polishing lathes, that's the other way. It's really expensive to get a polishing lathe. You can spend a couple grand, 4, 5, 8 grand, depending on what your requirements are and what you need it to do. And I can get into that later in another video as well, the differences in knowing what's what the best options are as far as polishing lathes go. But it will save money in the long run if it's something you're going to do quite a bit. Other than that, you can really get by with this and you can do a heck of a lot of stuff. 180 looks like right here. You see there's little swirls in here. That's what it should look like with the 180. That's as fine as that's going to get that. So you don't want any gouges in there though. If they're not scratches from 180, you know, if it was something that was in there prior to starting the polish, you're going to need to get that out. And it's a lot easier to get it out when you have something a little bit more abrasive like 180 or 220. You can't have that in all the way to the end, or you'll have to start over. So that's what it should look like right there. Once again, you're just... That's all you're doing right there. If you typically, you know, if you're going to go down like this, especially on these edges right here, you're going to catch an edge and the thing's just going to rip off. So that's what you want to avoid there. So now I'm going to go up to 220. This is what 220 should look like right here. It's getting a little finer. Up to 320. That's 400 right there. All right, on to 600. There's 600 right there. And you can see how it's almost a mirror finish. One of the things you can also do is use a polishing compound, which is something I'm not doing here, but you can use a polishing compound and it's going to help to compound in light little scratches, which we still have a little bit of here. And you can see how it looks like a mirror. Guys, so this is done right here. Brought out another just old rusty one for you to take a look at. But this is what it would look like rusty. So I don't know how well you can see in that camera there, but that's what it looks like rusty. Haven't done any sanding to it, just kind of let it sit for a few days. I'm in Washington. It rains all the time, so it's a little bit of moisture in here. This is what it should look like when it's done right there. No scratching, mirror finish. I can see myself in it. Bring this inside. It works better than my mirror. This is what it needs to look like. This will save yourself a lot of money and time. It took me 10-15 minutes to polish this the way it is. I could use some rouge, meaning some polishing compound. They make a whole bunch of different types. There's Eastwood's has them. Lee sells them. There's a lot of good places that you can get them for. You can tons of places online. So anyway, starting off with a 180 grit, working up to a 220, a 320, a 400, a 600, a 800. You could even go to 1000, but this is going to work great. This is a Dynabrade 6-inch random rotary orbital sander. Works great. The sanding discs, you can get a set of 50 for like $8. They're made in Finland. They're called Merca. They're pretty good. I can't really say anything that one's better than the other. It's not like, it's just paper. So you can kind of do what you want there, but you will tend to go through them if you're catching edges, like right here on the eyes. If you're sanding right in there, you'll catch an edge like that. So you just got to be careful with that because you'll put a scratch. You have to start over. So practice makes perfect. As you practice more, you'll use less. So that's the biggest thing there. If you want to spend money and you feel like a polishing lathe is going to be the way to go, there's some good stuff out there. There's a lot of really good used stuff that doesn't vibrate. That's the biggest thing. If you don't have a good surface to put it down on and it ends up, vibrating a lot and shaking on the table, you'll put waves in it. And so when you get it chrome, chrome amplifies everything. So don't do, a half-assed job and think it's going to be okay. Anything that you can see now, you will see even better once it's plated. It amplifies it. It just magnifies it. So make sure to do a good job unless you don't care about the quality of work you're doing. But wanted to show you the right way to do that. So feel free to let me know if you have questions. You can always go to benoberg.com, contact me there. vulcancustoms.com, contact me there. Hit me up on Facebook, Vulcan Customs. Instagram is Vulcan_Customs. We're going to keep adding to the YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our email updates. You can find either one of those on either of the sites, benoberg.com or vulcancustoms.com. And later on down the road, I'll get a little further into depth on some of the different types of steels, what's needed to polish different types, higher RPMs on stainless, different stuff like that. Talking about polishing lathes, the different type of polishing compounds that you can use. There's a lot of different stuff out there, a lot of ways to do it, and not necessarily any one way is always the only or right way. There's plenty of ways to do it. That's the way I do it. This would work great for small jobs, car restorations. If you're not doing it as a business, you're not doing it full time, you don't really need a polishing lathe, anything like that. You can get by with an orbital sander just fine. But feel free to let me know, and thanks for watching. Take care.